family, Trojan gang. Mr. Fight On Forever is in the building. And today we about to talk about the topic of the town still, the Xavier Griffin decommitment, right? It's still the talk of the town. All the USC content creators are still talking about it. Now, I heard the fans in my comments on my page, most of y'all is for this policy. I'm not mad at y'all. And I don't think this necessarily a good or bad policy. I do guarantee one thing though, this policy is gonna make kids think second twice about committing to us, and that can potentially hurt relationships, because while they're not committed to us, they could be building strong bonds and relationships with other teams and schools, and then we gotta wait to signing day, and they wasn't even going through the process being committed to us, feeling some type of loyalty to us, comparing other schools to us. We let them date freely without in mind, without comparing, okay, I'm committed to USC, what this dude got the offer compared to USC, and they said that it let the kid completely just be a free agent. That, to me, that gonna open up the opportunity for him to fall in love with other universities. I think it's a little bit harder for a player to really fall in love with another university while he's committed to a current university, especially like USC, with all the advantages we got. We check all the boxes. No other school is gonna check all the boxes that we do. So USC, we a perfect school to be like, go ahead and take your visits, because nobody gonna have a better location than us with the combination of education, right? Ain't no school gonna have a better location. Los Angeles, better education than the USC degree. Better prestige, better history, better tradition. We got the most ever NFL draft picks. We got the most ever Heismans. We got the most ever #1 picks. Like, there's no school that could check more boxes than us besides recent success on the field. Besides that, we're checking every box. So when we got a player committed and he go visit other schools, the other school is really gonna show him why he really should stay with USC, because ain't no school is gonna outshine us in no other category besides current on-field success, right? So USC is in a position where we could be the opposite. That's why Pickell was the opposite. But I'm not totally against the policy of wanting kids to be fully committed from the go, right? I'm not against that, but I'm against this instance. Is always an exception to the rule, you guys. So everybody, we all looking at it as USC fans, right? But we got to put ourselves in position of Xavier Griffin. If you were Xavier Griffin and the commitment was, I'm committed to USC and I'm gonna take my other visits and I'm gonna shut my visit situation down before the start of my season. That's my goal, to shut it down before the start of the season, right? That's what he committed to, and USC agreed. Then a new regime come in and change the commitment agreement. Who's really not honoring their commitment? USC or Xavier Griffin? If USC told Xavier Griffin when he committed he could take visits, because I'm pretty sure he did, because after he committed he took visits and nobody said nothing, and he scheduled more visits and it wasn't a problem. So USC wasn't committed to Xavier Griffin. USC broke their commitment to Xavier Griffin. So like I said, if you're a player and you sign with a school and you agree to be a verbal commitment, but you're going to take other visits and shut it down before your senior season, and that school says okay, everything's all good. But then when that school come back a month later and say, no, you can't take any visits anymore, then USC re-broke our commitment. So that's why I'm finna show y'all this clip of Chris Arledge and Eric McKinney saying the same thing. Because I was reading my comments, and though I'm with y'all, I'm kind of disheartened that y'all don't see the other side of this. I'm disheartened that, not that y'all like the policy, but I'm disheartened that y'all think it was fair for a great Xavier Griffin, and he the one that wasn't committed, and he the one don't want to really go to USC. Man, y'all gotta understand that this kid was locked in at USC. I can't say he was so loyal, because it's levels, right? Tom and them, they shut down their recruitment. That's full loyal. They know 1,000% for sure. But short of that, he was 100% committed, to the point when he would go on visits with other schools, they start refusing to take pictures with him and post it, because he will always throw up the fight on emoji, and they didn't want him throwing up a fight on emoji on their university picture when they talking about recruiting a kid. But he refused not to throw up the fight on signal And so they stopped taking pictures, period. Look at Xavier Griffin. Go Google Xavier Griffin. He's a 5-star player. He probably got the least pics of him with coaches than any 5-star player in the country because he wanted to throw up the fight on sign and he didn't give a damn what the coaches thought. He was going to other schools, disrespecting the schools for USC. Imagine you being at Michigan, Oregon, all these schools, and you taking pictures with these coaches and you saying fight on. And these coaches saying they don't want you to throw up that fight on in this picture, but you said, well, I ain't taking a picture. That's representing USC. How can you tell a kid like that to decommit? So I'm going to play y'all these clips. If y'all can't hear from me, if I'm not articulate enough, you know, one of my favorite content creators in this Trojan platform is Chris Arledge. Him and Eric McKinney finna break down what I'm saying from their point of view in even more detail and probably more articulate. So check out this clip.
Visits, but guess what? We're getting the last call. Somewhere the communication process divided.
Yeah, I'll tell you when it divided. It divided after Griffin committed. Because let's be honest about something.
Sure.
Let's be honest about something. This is not a policy that was in place when Xavier Griffin committed. And I don't think there's any way in the world that Griffin told USC he wasn't going to take other trips, which means that if we're going to apply this, a commitment has to mean something. I agree. A commitment means whatever it meant at the time the guy committed. If you change the rules on the recruit, that's a you problem. It's not a Griffin problem. And I don't blame Xavier Griffin for being bent out of shape when he commits to USC, when he's allowed to take visits. He does take visits, and now USC steps in and says, no more, we're done with this. Hey, you guys are changing the game on me. That's not okay.
Well, let's remember his position coach when he could.
So how can y'all argue me and Chris Arledge's point on specifically the Xavier Griffin situation, right? How could y'all argue that? Because clearly, if you look at it with an honest eye and not being USC fans and USC homers, you could clearly see that USC changed up on him. And we in the comments, and I'm with y'all, and I love y'all. I love everybody that comment. B Jinx, J Rod, man, y'all know who y'all are, man. I love y'all. But it disheartened me that y'all don't see, like, okay, we agree with this new policy, but it's wrong to put this on Xavier Griffin because of these extenuating circumstances. USC is changing their agreement with the kid, right? So that's all me and Chris Arledge and Eric McKinney is saying is like, hold up. He committed to a different agreement. And I'm going to show y'all another clip and another clip, and we going to get to the point to where they all agree on what USC should have done. See, if we sit here and talk about this enough, I feel like with open minds and not being biased and not just being USC fans to the core and not being jealous and selfish for our fandom, we'll come to agreement with these guys. And I'm going to show y'all in the last clip, at least Eric McKinney, Chris Arledge, and Greg Katz. Mark Koken, he wanted to stay down on his point. But the last clip I'm going to show y'all like 2 or 3 more videos. The last clip I'm going to show y'all is they coming to a conclusion that I feel like I thought we was going to come to conclusion with in the comments. I thought my followers, we was thinking like this. Check out these clips.
Here's my point on this. First of all, we all know that a verbal commitment is not a legally binding commitment of any type. Okay.
Sure.
So let's quit drawing the analogies to contracts. Let's quit drawing the analogy to marriages that we see online. These are silly. It's a different type of commitment. What is it that Griffin said? I intend to play at USC. That was the commitment he made, and I want to take other visits. And nobody had a problem with that up until very recently. If we want to talk about consistency and accountability and doing what you said, that applies to USC as well. Don't change the rules in the middle of the recruiting class with a guy and then expect him to be on board while saying, we expect you to keep to your word. Fine, USC, implement this later. Don't implement it with a guy who did not have this rule in place when he was committed, who was still able to take other visits and be committed, and now USC has decided, now we can apply pressure and force him to do what we want, even though that was not the original understanding. That is the opposite of commitment. And what I'm suggesting is that USC didn't mean to harm Xavier Griffin. Xavier Griffin didn't mean to harm USC by taking visits. Both sides are doing what they think makes the most sense for them. But don't talk to me about how Griffin's commitment should mean something. I think USC's commitment should mean something. And if you take a commitment, encourage a guy to commit. You take his commitment with the understanding he'll take other trips. You let him take the other trips.
Now, to be honest with you, excuse me,
Now, as you see, it is more hammering to the point that USC initially agreed to let him take trips. But you know what this had me thinking, Trojan family, and I'm going to get into this. And after all this stayed with me with this video. I know people attention span is short, but please rock with me with this video. I'm finna bring it all together on why this is important, right? Another thing I was thinking when I'm watching this video, right now while I'm creating it, it's like USC, we feeling ourselves too much. We got all these commitments in such a stacked class. We want to press our number one recruit, Xavier Griffin. We want to press him, right? And to not visit, because if we lose him, our class still stacked. And we still really the number one class. So I feel like, man, if I'm Xavier Griffin, I'm feeling like USC acting brand new. Because guess what, y'all? Chad Bowden been at USC for 3 or 4 months, right? Even longer than that, right? When he came in December, I'm pretty sure Xavier Griffin has took a visit since Chad Bowden came. And I ain't even did my homework on it. Trojan fans, if I'm wrong, stop the video right now, pause it, come back to it, go see Xavier Griffin visits he didn't had since Chad Bowden came to USC. And I'm pretty sure I can guarantee without checking that he has visited other schools while he was committed at USC with Chad Bowden on toes. So we already got it clear that he committed before Chad Bowden under different circumstances. Now, USC, it will make more sense, and I won't be thinking how I'm thinking. How USC we getting ahead of ourselves, we feeling ourselves too much. Is that he took? I'm sure he didn't took visits since Chad Bowden being the GM. But when he was taking those visits, our class probably wasn't this stacked. And now that our class like this stacked, and we got Crystal Ball for Talanoa Ely and Kerry Wilder and player like that, we feeling ourselves like everybody want to come. So it's like, oh, Xavier Griffin, you ain't bigger than the program. Like, you gotta stop visiting schools too. And if I was Xavier Griffin, I would feel some type of way about that. Y'all would too. Now it's the first strike for Xavier Griffin on his side. The first strike for USC against Xavier Griffin is, at first we said you could allow visits, and now we saying you can't. On top of that, we saying this after we done picked up all these kids, even though since the new regime then came in, you already done took visits since Chad Bowden been there. But now all of a sudden you can't take no more. I would feel some type of way. So let me just play more clips. I'm telling y'all to stick with me. I'm gonna bring it full circle. And what it means, what this could mean for USC positively and negatively.
I think the rule's probably misguided because it encourages the best players not to commit, and I don't think that's helpful. But Chad Bowden knows his business fine. My biggest problem with the whole thing is the ham-handed effort to change the rule in the middle of Xavier Griffin's recruitment and then give him an ultimatum. That was so unnecessary. And now you've lost a player you might have been able to hold on to because you chose to change the rule midstream and you chose to make it an ultimatum. Instead of simply saying, you know what? We had a different understanding with Xavier. We still want him. We told him he could take his trips. He's going to take his trips. We have no problem with that. But just understand, everybody, if you commit to us from now on, the rule is going to be this. They could have said that. They could have.
No, and they should have said that. But you know what? They weren't tested on it. And now they've been.
They have been now. They
have been tested now,
and they screwed it up.
Well, you know what?
Now y'all see, after Chris Artledge then pound the table with points you can't not deny. With points you can't not deny. That's facts. When somebody say something that's true and factual, you can't deny that. And he ain't tell no lies. But he had to pound that and make an emphasis on that. 3 or 4 different times. And to Greg Katz, who was standing on the other side of this argument with y'all, he finally had to say, yeah, that's what USC should have did. You heard what Chris Arliss just said? And this all would have been fine. We wouldn't even batted an eye, right? If USC came out and said exactly what Chris Arliss said, Xavier Griffin committed before the new regime under a different policy in a new commitment agreement, right? That original agreement, we allowed him to go visit other schools. So he committed before the new policy. So we're not going to change our commitment with him. But moving forward, this is our new policy. So a new policy is effective on that date. You know what I'm saying? You know, when you sign a contract or agreement and it say effective on this date from this date beginning, well, when that new policy is implemented, it don't affect what happened previously. For instances, it's legal to have marijuana now, right? It's legal to sell marijuana now. All you got to do is get a vendor's license, right? It's legal to give away marijuana now, right? But that didn't mean everybody that was in prison. It's still people in prison right now for selling marijuana, y'all. It's still people in prison right now for selling marijuana. Why? Because when they committed that crime, the new policy wasn't implemented yet. So the new policy don't affect what happened before it. USC is being retroactive in saying our new policy go retroact. So even if we agree with you, we squashing that agreement, we're breaking that commitment to you, Xavier Griffin. We're breaking that, right? So you see, soon as the marijuana law got passed, everybody that went to jail for marijuana didn't get immediate release. So it's the same thing here. This policy came in after he committed. Now I'm finna get into the deeper part after Chris Arliss then brought it all full circle and pointing out what y'all not looking at it as far as Xavier Griffin position and USC commitment to him. Now Eric McKinney gonna say something that I'm gonna want to touch on, and it's gonna be a deeper issue, or I think something that's even more important for USC in this brand in the future.
USC or Xavier Griffin.
Exactly.
But
I mean,
look,
the bottom line is, I would if I had to choose one of two things: Xavier Griffin is not in this class and not considering USC, or Xavier Griffin takes official visits, including one to USC as a USC commit, and then is saying, I'm going to lock this thing up by the start of my senior year. That's the one I'd pick.
Yeah, me too.
And Trojan fans, it's simple as that. So I ask you, Trojan fans, if we got the opportunity to have 10 5-stars in a class, right? 5 of these 5-stars want to commit and shut it down, and the other 5 want to take visits. If every year, every cycle, them 5-stars who had USC number 1 and wanted commit to USC but still take visits, never commit to USC because they wasn't able to build that relationship once after being committed and putting that on their mind frame, right? So no matter how much we value commitments or not, when a kid commit, he knows that commitment. So before he decide to go anywhere and commit to anywhere else, he gonna take a double, triple, quadruple look at the program that he's going to decommit from. Now, if he's uncommitted and he's liking the program, falling in love with a new program, he don't got to think about, well, should I turn my back on USC? Well, is they better than USC? He just thinking about the new little crush in the building, right? So just like Eric McKinney said, y'all, I would rather have Xavier Griffin taking his visits and committing to USC, actually not even say committed, sticking with his commitment. I'd rather have Xavier Griffin committed to USC, take his visits, and at the end of the day, sign his letter of intent to USC over kicking him out the class and he's never signing. So USC fans, I want to ask y'all would rather have kicking Xavier Griffin out the class and he end up never signing, or Xavier Griffin taking his other visits and still signing? Now I'm gonna tell y'all one thing. Xavier Griffin is a 5-star prospect, and a true 5-star prospect. It's a good chance, barring injury, barring mental issues and work ethic issues, it's a great chance that this kid is going to be a first-round NFL draft pick. So all my Trojan fans that was in the comments saying they like this, how would y'all feel? Because y'all know he going to visit Oregon. How would y'all feel if Xavier Griffin commit to Oregon and y'all find out he would have never committed to Oregon if USC wouldn't have kicked him out the class? And Xavier Griffin goes to Oregon and be a first-round draft pick and harass our quarterbacks in the Big Ten Conference for the next 3 years. How would y'all feel if this kid turned out to be a top 10 NFL first-round draft pick? Why on the way there, he terrorizing us his whole career? Because if this kid play us, he gonna have a chip on his shoulder. And if he turned out to be a great player and he play us and he have a chip on his shoulder, he gonna cause wreck. And what if he cause wreck for Oregon, Ohio State, Notre Dame? He taking visits to teams we gonna have to face, Oregon and Ohio State. So we look up 3 years and 4 years from now, I don't want to hear no complaining about our offensive line and why we letting Xavier Griffin sack our quarterback. I don't want to hear no complaining about Xavier Griffin terrorizing our offensive line and us possibly losing the game because him sacking our quarterback because the pressure he putting on our quarterback, all for the sake of this new policy. So just think about it. Think if we heard right now that, CJ Stroud, all the great players that we missed out on, that we complain about. I don't want to hear no BS because y'all complain about all the missed players we had over the years that we had either committed and they didn't stay. The Bryce Youngs, CJ Strouds, all the way back to the Black Mamba, Jordan Davidson, all them modern day kids. I mean, the list is so long. What if y'all find out the only reason that these players didn't come to USC was because of something USC did? Because USC had a problem with them. Not because the USC wasn't good enough. How would you feel you found out they wanted to go to USC, but USC didn't want them just because they was taking visits? If I told y'all this 10 years ago, or whenever Bryce Young decommitted from USC and committed to Alabama, if I told y'all 10 years ago that Bryce Young didn't sign with USC because USC didn't want him taking no more visits, 5 years ago, y'all would have lost y'all mind if y'all heard that. So now we sit here and we talking about a 5-star kid, Xavier Griffin, and we talking about we did the right thing to kick him off the team because he taking visits, when originally USC said he can take visits and USC is the one that changed on them. Now, if y'all watch this video to the end, and I'ma know by y'all comments, if y'all watch this video to the end and y'all think it's cool that USC changed their commitment on this kid, right? If y'all agree that it was right for USC to change the word that they gave this kid, then I don't know what to tell y'all, man. Y'all too sunshine pump for this team. Y'all stands at this point. Y'all ain't super fans, y'all stands. And you only can see things one way, in the USC Trojan way. This is great for the university to do this, but it's not great for the players to do this. Now, another thing I want to get on, which is even more important, y'all, is right now USC, we on that high mountain right now. We on that high pedestal We got all the momentum in recruiting right now. We the sexiest girl out there right now. Let it get around. Let it start getting around that USC agreed with Xavier Griffin, then took that agreement back, and because he wanted to stick to the agreement, they made him decommit. That gonna turn kids off about USC, because what that gonna say is USC might tell me something today, and 3 or 4 months later tell me something different, or USC might agree upon principle with me of something today and change it in the future when they feel like it. And if I don't like it, oh well, kick rocks. That gonna make players not even look at your school, especially if you a player, you coming to this like, this is the most important decision of my life and I want to weigh all my options. You do your homework on USC and you see if you commit to USC, they're not going to give you no options. And oh yeah, by the way, they might, and even if you do commit to them, guess what? They might change the agreement they made with you. That will kill all the momentum we got for the future. I don't think that probably going to affect the kids that's locked in now. They agreed to this. But for kids in the future and kids who just want to really weigh all their options because this is the most important decision of their life, them players ain't gonna commit to USC till signing day, bro. So until then, man, if y'all still disagreeing on USC was wrong, knowing all this information that we know about the situation now, then hey, I guess that's what we gonna agree to disagree at. But until then, man, it's Carter Sports. It's Mr. Fight On Forever, and I'm gone.